Our survival rests on a lone soul. Hideous creatures known only as the Twisted descend on Manhattan as the world rests on the brink of destruction. Ayabrea appears as humanity's last hope. Using an experimental technology called Overdrive, she must travel to the past to save the present. The Third Birthday is a third-person role-playing shooter developed by Hexadrive and published by Square Enix. The game was made for the PSP and is a spin-off from the Parasite Eve series. The game takes place in Manhattan, New York City, 10 years after the events of Parasite Eve 2. The player takes on the role of Ayabrea and must fight against mysterious twisted creatures threatening the city. The Third Birthday is not a direct sequel to Parasite Eve and Parasite Eve 2, which is why Parasite Eve has been excluded from its title. The title actually references the third appearance of Ayabrea, the main protagonist of this video game series. I won't talk about too much story, but it requires more than one playthrough to understand it, and once you learn the main plot twist at the end, you will appreciate playing through the game again. As for the gameplay, you move Aya with the analog stick. The left shoulder trigger is used to aim or lock onto an enemy, and the right shoulder trigger is used to fire whatever weapon you are holding. Cycling through weapons is made easy by simply holding the square button and using the D-pad to equip a different weapon. You hold 4 weapons at a time during a mission, and each button on the D-pad corresponds to a different weapon. In addition to the somewhat standard setup, you have the Overdrive system, Liberation, and the Over-Energy abilities. These are the elements that makes this shooter stand out. Overdiving is the ability to dive into another site and temporarily take control of his or her body. Individuals with this ability can use the Overdrive device to remove the portion of the consciousness related to past events, thereby making it possible to warp into the past. The gameplay as well as the story revolves around this concept. Overdiving into friendly soldiers can either save your life or give you a better position and perspective in battle. When playing on easy, normal, hard, and deadly difficulties, overdiving into a soldier changes your current HP of the HP of the soldier that you have dived in. This means that if you're near death, you can overdive to save your life. This is not the case while playing on the insane difficulty, in which your HP does not change when performing an overdrive. Although this may be more difficult, it can be very advantageous. Overdiving into a soldier with low health, given the fact that you have high health, you could now save friendly troops by keeping them alive. This is critical when completing feats and getting the AAA rank on missions. Normally, humans are the only potential overdive targets, but overdiving into an enemy or twisted can be used as an attack, also known as the overdrive kill. Diving into different life forms would scramble and possibly even destroy Ai's consciousness, killing her in the process. Overdrive kills are special attacks whereby Aya dives into a twisted and destroys it from within. It is very effective, yet extremely risky for the diver. Now onto my favorite aspect of gameplay, the Liberation ability. Loosening the constraints on Aya's abilities allows her to unleash an explosive burst of power. The force release in this non-holds-barred condition might also be considered runaway energy. Entering this state for even a few moments takes a significant toll on Aya's body and spirit. You fill the Liberation gauge by firing at an enemy. You can activate Liberation by pressing triangle and circle at the same time. While in Liberation, you are practically invincible. You can dash, jump, and maneuver a lot faster in this state, plus you are given the ability to wield 2 energy shooting handguns. Here's a little secret for the beginners. The A170D is a handgun that can abuse the Liberation system. If the WS-M17 Wad Smasher type ammo is equipped, you can fill your Liberation gauge in literally one clip, thus enabling you to use Liberation almost all the time. And once you get the restock ability to level 25 on your DNA board, there's literally no end to the Liberation spam. Although this may seem like an all-around technique, it's not always a good idea to use this. Ai's unique abilities are collectively known as Over-Energy, or OE. By overdiving into humans or twisted, Aya can obtain over-energy chips with the power to alter her abilities. They're often made up of multiple OEs. As Aya's abilities develop, her instincts should lead her to select the genetic information necessary for her own evolution. Setting these chips into a DNA board can bring out all kinds of latent skills. You can carry up to 30 OE chips at a time. The graphics in the Third Birthday are simply amazing as expected from a PSP game. I always say that graphics don't make a game, but sometimes I pick this up and play it just to enjoy the level designs and the boss designs, not to mention the flawless execution of in-game cutscenes. My favorite part of this game is the soundtrack. Now fans of the old Parasite Eve games would absolutely love the music. I say that because they use some of the familiar tunes from the PlayStation 1 titles. The sound was done very well. My only complaint is Aya's voice acting in the Japanese version, but that's just a matter of opinion. I recommend playing the English version just so you won't miss out on Maida's creepy voice acting, which I thought was absolutely sick. The replay value of the Third Birthday is insanely high. Well, not as high as the Disgaea series, but it's more than you would expect from a shooter. I myself have spent over 100 hours on it, and that's way more than I expected. There are so many weapons to unlock, not to mention leveling up each weapon and upgrading them. There's a bunch of protective gear and costumes you can unlock, and if you complete the game 50 times, you'll have access to the shower scene in the video log. I personally think completing it 50 times is rather tedious, but to some, that just may be your thing. Any completionist will find that completing all the feats and getting the AAA rank on every episode on insane difficulty is not exactly a walk in the park. The time it takes you to unlock and max out everything in this game is almost the amount of time to complete and attain everything in Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, and that's saying something. The Third Birthday is a great game. Don't listen to all the haters, this is undeniably one of the best PSP games of all time. It is a worthy addition to anyone's PSP collection.